Here's a look at the finished shoulder design that I've come up with, and I'm going to show you how it goes together. There's actually about 6 pieces to this design, and it's all about protecting the rod from any hard point. So what I've done is, first I have a piece of fuel tubing. It's a medium fuel tubing, and then I have some parts that have been machined, and then there's a couple of bolts and another piece of rod. So the first thing I've done is cut my rod to length. Second thing I need to do is take just one of the pieces that is not the 1/8 inch. There is one 1/8 inch piece that's an 1/8 of an inch thick, and that's the piece we want to lay on top of it. And we just want to lay on top of it because we're going to use it as a gauge. So the first step is to take the fuel tubing and slide it up on the rod. And it's a lot easier to go ahead and do this part first, because this way you only have to mess with the rod or the fuel tubing on the rod about a couple inches. If you wait and do it last, then you got to come all the way back here, put it on, and slide it all the way down till you get to here. So after we have the fuel tubing on, it doesn't matter where, I just put it back for right now. Then we're going to slide this piece here on, and then I'm going to push it down 1/8 of an inch. I want 1/8 of an inch from the end of the rod to the face of this piece of material. So what I'll do is set it on, use the 1/8 inch piece, push it down, and now I have it set so that I know it's 1/8 of an inch from the end. And now just thin CA both sides, the top and the bottom side, and roll it so that the CA wicks around and underneath, and then take and wipe it off. Once you have that done, then you can take the fuel tubing and start sliding the fuel tubing. Just work the fuel tubing back so that it comes back to the edge there. And then you don't want to build up any of the tubing, so just kind of flatten it out. And then once you get that done, now you're ready to put this all together. This is the front, which is the larger piece. You can see it here. And then this is the back, which is the smaller piece. So to build it, we have an 1/8 inch piece, and then we have an 0.80 inch piece, which would be this one, and they're both exactly the same, but we want to put them together so that when we build this, if we're going to make the one matching this one, which would be the opposite side, that means that this I know is the front because it has a large piece. So to start this build, I'm going to go ahead and get this one oriented correctly, and to do that I'm going to match it. Well, make a mirror image of it. So notice the hump on the inside here at the top, and this here is at the top. So this would be a matching set. So for starters, I'm going to go ahead and put the screws in, which are these 2 screws here. I'm going to go ahead and put those in because I know I can build from here back now. So the next thing I need to do is go ahead and put on the smaller or the thinner of the 2 pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on, and again I'm going to match it to what's here. So now I have it matched. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and take the thicker of the 2 pieces, and it goes on last. So I'm going to stick it down just like that. Now I have these all together. Now I need to take that piece of rod and go ahead and put it in there. So now I can go ahead and put this together. So I'm going to take this and lay it down inside the gap, and then just push it down just like that, and then put the cover over it. Now the cover has a curve on the top side, so I need to flip this over so that all the parts line up, and you can see the curve is matching here, and this again is a mirror image of this one. So this is the front for the left and the right. So go ahead and put on the flat washer and then the lock nut. Now, don't get too excited here, but normally we don't use a pair of pliers on a nut, but in this case I am, so forgive me. My father would be proud, not because I used the pliers, but because I asked for forgiveness. He was a stickler about that. But anyway, now you see that this one is built. So now it is ready to be mounted. You simply mount this between the bearings on the shoulder mount, and then this hole here would be for the flex plate to be mounted. So the idea is, if we go back and we look at the one I initially did here, you can see this fuel tubing actually encases the carbon rod. So it gives it a little bit of cushion. Now the cushion is throughout the whole length of the rod, because if we take a closer look, you can see that whenever the rod is in, the rod is catching on the step there. So the rod cannot go out, it cannot exit. So the idea is to cushion the full length of the rod. And I've been flying it now for a little while, and this seems to work really well. So I'm quite comfortable with this design, and it's all about protecting that rod. This little insight is dealing with the rudder, and as you may have realized, I have done away with the elevator. I don't really need the elevator, and the technique that I've been used to fly seems to be working really well. So for that reason, I've done away with the elevator. That's one less thing to worry about, and plus it saves a little weight. The first step you'll need to do is to go ahead and locate your horns, and then you're going to center the horn between this step right here. In this piece there is a step, and so this horn actually centers on it. Now it can't center right now, it's going to rock because of this step. So what you do is you take your horn, you take a look at it, and you're going to trim these ears, just the smaller ears, so that they lay inside of this pocket here. And you want them fairly tight. They don't have to be a press fit, but you don't want them really loose either. So you can, and if you get it really loose, it's okay, not a big deal. But the idea is we want this to be laying flat up against the back portion, or the longer of the two pieces. So as long as we have it flat, that's fine. All right, the next thing is go ahead and take your horn, and with the kit you're going to receive 4 different stars here. And the idea behind this is to first, you got to locate the right one. And what you're looking for is one that'll actually slide over the bottom shoulder of your horn. And here I have it. This is the right one. Now, let's make sure that I don't have a second one, because I have a feeling that we may have a second one. Yes, this one here, and it will slide on. You see it went on. It's actually pretty snug, but that's what we want. It will go on. This one is a little smaller. You notice this one here was larger. The whole idea behind these is, if you don't have one that exactly fits, there should be one that you can alter in order to make it fit. And the idea is you want it to be snug. You want it to be a pretty snug fit. Okay, so once you put this on, what this does is it gives added support to the tail. So now what we do is we take this and mount it to the servo and center it so that it's on correctly. And you want the ears to be setting, the shorter ears to be setting vertical. So the wide piece is going to go left and right, the short piece is going to go vertical. And so the idea behind this is to go ahead, and whenever you mount the tail, you'll do it with 4 O-rings, and you will simply O-ring this in place. Now the O-ring does not grab the servo horn. The O-ring actually goes over the servo horn and goes back around and grabs the back side of this plate that we put on. So it doesn't matter how big your horns are, it doesn't matter how long they are, whether they're real short or really small like this. Either way will work, and either side will work. So you're just going to set it on and then O-ring around all the way to the back side. Something really simple, but it adds a lot of support to the tail and a lot of support to the rudder horn.